is obviously the Cubase 5 demo. I want to thank the guys from Dolphin for having us here. Cheers, lead boys.
I'm Andrew, this is Mick. You can't see him, but he's wearing a Cubase 5 shirt, so he kind of stands out. I'm the product specialist for the UK. Mick basically drives around and drinks beer while I talk. Pretty good job. He does a good job of drinking the beer anyway. Is this all on film? Okay, so let's get into it. Basically, we'll start with vocals. So you can see each separate vocal note is split up into different blocks. So you've got the blocks and they match up to the pitch on the left hand side. But also around the different blocks, you can see here we've got things like micro pitches. So these are where the singer's actually varied around the actual note itself. So what we can do now here, let's say we're in the studio, we've recorded a vocalist. Now I'm all for vocalists singing in tune when they come into the studio, I'm sure as most of us are, but you know these days you sit there and the vocalist has done 20 takes and it's still a little bit flat. And you're at your wit's end. Basically, if a vocalist comes into a studio nowadays, they can do 3 takes and turn around and say to you guys, you can fix that. It's true. But these tools enable us to fix things very easily. For instance, I do demos at home. When I record the demo, I write the music, and then I pick up a microphone, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to sing. I just do improvisation, basically on the lyrics. Quite often, I've noticed in the past, I'll do my first take of a demo, and I like the essence of it, but I'm singing sharp and flat, or I'm not actually coming in on time. So using these tools, we can correct this very easily without actually having to go and re-record everything. So briefly to explain the tool, if we click on it, we can mess around with pitch. We can also change the start and the finish point on each individual track. So let's say, for instance, this track here. Let me just click on here. Let's say the singer's just come in a little bit too early. Watch what happens with the audio file previously. If I click on the start point and move it back, you'll notice the previous section is also changing. If I move it forwards, the previous section here is changed as well. So it's seamless crossfades into each individual section of the track. By the way, this isn't just for vocal use, this is monophonic, so you can use it with bass guitars, guitar solos, saxophones, trumpets, anything that's got one line in it. And you don't have to load up any external plugin. It's not a plugin, it's in each individual track. So we just need to click on Vary Audio and it's right there. So we can edit the start, the finish points, we can edit the pitch. Let's say we want to do it quickly. I'm just going to come over here and click on MIDI import. So I'm just using the MIDI keyboard right here to change the pitch. So it's very easy to go through and make changes quickly. So a big addition in terms of workflow. But that's not all it does. Let's say, for instance, find a note here. Okay, so there's a variation on that. You can see she's sliding down. If we want to correct that, just highlight the note, come over to straighten pitch, and you can see now those micro pitches or the micro tuning around that is actually being flattened. Now if we play that, that pretty much sounds like a lot of top 10 songs these days. Ever since Sure, Do You Believe in Life After Love, we've had this phenomenon in, well, I wouldn't exactly call it a phenomenon, but this addition to contemporary music. Mick and I are driving around the UK, doing a little bit of a whirlwind tour, so we're listening to radio stations, and pretty much 80 to 90% of the tracks we're listening to have this in it. And you even hear the artist going, no, there's no pitch correction on my track, but it's so obvious. So you can straighten the pitch, get that kind of effect. The other thing we can do is, let's have a look at all of these notes here at the start. You'll see just little variations like this just aren't sitting right into where the note, or the note where it should be. So we're just going to use pitch quantize, and you can see it's exactly moving it straight onto the note. So it depends on how much of a perfectionist you are. If you're wanting to use this as an effect to create really awesome top 10 contemporary pop music, this is a cool feature. But even if you want to go in and use it just to edit a guitar solo, maybe you've got a bass player who's just played a whole bass line and it's perfect except for like one small note where he's just come in a little bit too late or a little bit too early. Really easy just to click on it, load it straight up and basically edit it. You can also do things like change segments. So let's say we've got the WAV file there. We don't want all of it. Maybe there's a click or a pop straight at the start of it. No problems, just click on it and move it out so the pop's gone. If we come down to the functions button just here, we've got this little feature called Extract MIDI. And this is one of the coolest things about Vary Audio. If we click on Extract MIDI, we've got a few options. Just notes, no pitch bend data. So basically that's just going to extract the notes straight to MIDI. Or let's say we've got a guitar solo and there's a bend. So we're going to say notes and continuous pitch bend data. If you have a look at the way MIDI is represented and you see a pitch bend, you'll notice there's lots of different blocks there, and you'll actually see the pitch bend represented. So if we select this, it'll actually contain all the MIDI data for the bend into the next note. So for vocals, we're just going to say just notes, no pitch bend data. Destination, you MIDI track. And you can also control the pitch bend range there. So if you're bending more than a tone, obviously you can change that. So hit OK, and now if we come back to our project window, right here, we have the MIDI data of what was just sung. So the best thing about this feature is, let's say you want to do a vocal track and you want to actually print out a lead sheet for someone to reproduce. It's no problem, it's just load it into Very Audio, or load Very Audio up, extract the MIDI data, and there you've got the MIDI data. Load it into your score, just clean the score up a little bit, and then you can write your lyrics underneath. But that's just not the only application for extracting MIDI. Let's say your drums and bass, and you've recorded a bass line, live bass players come in, you can sit there, you can edit the notes, but more importantly is you can extract the MIDI. And let's say the bass line isn't fat enough. We want a synth bass combined with a live bass sound. Extract the MIDI, fire it off to one of the Cubase synths, and just get a pretty fat dance bass line, and just combine the two of them. Not just that, let's say you're not a good keyboard player, and you've got a line in your head, you want the brass line to play it. No problems, sing it in, Very Audio it, extract the MIDI data, and fire it off to whatever VST instrument you want. So this is a big new feature and a big new addition to Cubase. So I mentioned Yamaha's bought Steinberg a few years ago. Now this tool here is basically another collaboration. So a lot of the top Yamaha digital desks for years have had pitch correction. This is basically that plugin. So if we don't want to actually go in and edit all the notes, we want something that's going to correct the pitch as on the fly as we go, this is perfect. So quite a simple graphical user interface. We hit play.
It's heaven when I see your smiling face.
Okay, so basically we change the speed. That's set to transpose. Let's just say it's a female, so we go to our media bay and select female moderate. So let's have a listen to that.
It's heaven when I see your smiling face.
So we can change the speed, the tolerance, we can transpose it up or down as much as we want. And then we've also got stuff like, we can select male, female, so give it a few pointers. And then we can change the sound of the track. So if we're working with BVs,
it's heaven when I see your smiling face.
if you want to Tracy Chapman sing BVs, it's right there. So there's a few different things you can do in there. Let's say we want to specify particular scales. If we're working in a minor key, we can select minor. Working in a major key, major. Or if you're doing some weird experimental music, you can come in and set your own notes, and it'll only correct the pitch around those notes. So quite a handy feature. But one of the most interesting things about pitch correction is we can also set the scale source to external MIDI notes. So let's close that and come back to my original lead vocal track, and this is why it sounded a bit weird to start with. So I've set up a MIDI track, and I've selected the output of the MIDI track to pitch correction. So if I come into my lead vocals now, turn this on, set external MIDI notes, build the speed up, and now click on this MIDI track. Let's watch what happens.
It's heaven when I see your smiling face. I'm in heaven when I feel your warm embrace.
So what I'm doing now is actually playing the pitch using this keyboard, which is quite cool. If you want to do harmonies, no problems. So we're not just set by what the singer actually came in and sung, we can also come in now and change it. Let's just give you an idea. Say, take that off.
It's heaven when I see your smiling face. I'm in heaven when I feel your warm embrace.
So you can see it's quite easy to create harmonies. Even with stuff like guitar solos, if you want to change bass notes, any of that kind of stuff, just basically select the output of any MIDI channel to pitch correction, so you can see their MIDI scale and lead vocals. So that's another really key function, or key feature for pitch correction. Remember, it's not just vocals, it's anything that's monophonic.